Am I the idiot for avoiding my son when he wanted to spend time with me? I, 40F, love my son Avram, 21, but I did not want to be a mom and was denied an abortion. I love him so much, but I've never deserved him. I was a terrible mom. I know it was bad untreated depression, but it doesn't excuse anything. His dad and stepmom took him when he was 10, and they love him so much and made him the most amazing young man in the world, and I'm so grateful. After they took him, I got therapy treatment, and then spent time in inpatient for my drinking. Avram kept wanting to see me. His dad let me have weekends, and I tried to make the best of it and be a good mom this time. He'd always tell me I didn't need to apologize because I was sick, and he loved living with me. Since he turned 18, he's spent more time with me, and I know I don't deserve it, and his stepmom does, but I don't do anything because it makes him happy. This past Friday, his stepmom was hosting a work dinner and wanted all her kids there, but Avram wanted to spend Friday with me cause we always do that. She's more his mom than me, so I knew he should be there for her. But he wouldn't listen and insisted on being with me, so I pretended I wasn't home that day and ghosted him so he'd go, and I saw what he did on his girlfriend's IG story. But you can see who sees stories, and she did, and messaged me I was selfish for ghosting, and I really upset him. She essentially called me an idiot without saying it. He hasn't messaged me much since then either. I don't think I'm wrong. I'm trying to do what's best for him, and that's showing gratitude to the woman who deserves his love. But I thought to try for judgment here. Now for a few comments before the update. You're the idiot. Your kid is 21 and is well past the age where he can make his own decisions about which of his parents he wants to spend time with. You explained to him that he should really be with stepmom, and it would have been his decision to not do that and hang with you instead. If I were him, I'd feel so hurt by this. Comment 2. You're the idiot. This is gonna be harsh, don't read if you can't take it. He is 21, he deserves to choose how and with whom he is spending his time with. You denying your presence when he needs it is just you doing the same thing you did before. Your excuses of, I don't deserve him, his stepmom should be his priority since she's like his real mom, etc. are just that, your excuses and your feelings, not his. Now is the time for you to make amends. Don't let your guilt deprive him of you even further. Apologize and tell him you feel like you don't deserve him, but you'll stop being a coward and will always be there for him from now on. Make amends the way he wants you to, not the way you think you should. That's the best way you can own up to your past and get forgiveness from both him and yourself. Now for the update. After my post, I realized how wrong I was and I called Avram, my son, and thankfully he picked up and came over. The first thing he did before I could even talk was give me such a big hug. It almost made me cry, but I held back my tears. I talked to him about his stepmother's event and why I felt he should go and why I felt I didn't deserve him. I told him about the things that I did when he lived with me as a kid and why I felt I didn't deserve his forgiveness. I guess what really shocked me was that Avram pointed out to me that he didn't see his time with me as bad and that he mostly had happy memories and all the bad times were just because I was sick and that wasn't my fault. And it's not things I forgot, I guess just things that I never valued and I guess never really considered. Small things like how I'd take him shopping to Zellers on Sundays and always let him buy a toy. How I'd always get a special message printed on his birthday cakes. How I'd always let him sleep hugging me even though he was 10 by the time his dad took. How I'd miss work to stay with him if he got sick. The big thing he told me that made cry is when he was 9, kids bullied him when they found out we're ethnically Jewish and made him cry so bad he left school before the Easter egg celebration, so I organized an Easter egg hunt just for him in the park. It wasn't just that, he told me so much more that I did that he valued that if I wrote it here I think I'd break the word limit. It's so hard to hold on to the happy memories when I think about how terrible I was and how much I yelled at him, or drank or smoked, but if he can do it then I can do it for him. And I've been trying. I've let him take full control of our relationship and I think it's been for the best. I've been seeing him much more often, and during Mother's Day, he and his girlfriend took me out to dinner and gave me so many boxes of chocolates. I've only been eating them when they come over so we can have them together. Even therapy has been going better since I convinced him to attend some sessions with me, and I think he's understanding what I went through when I got pregnant, but also how much respect I have for his stepmother. Plus, his girlfriend has started going to the gym with me. I love my son so much. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. He is everything that was ever good about me, and thankfully he got nothing that is bad with me. Maybe in another world where I didn't end up so damaged, I like to think I would have turned out just like him. He makes me so proud and so happy. I will try and never hurt him again and never be so selfish again. So thank you to everyone who convinced me to apologize and to all the other mothers out there. Please hug your sons tonight if you can, no matter how old they are. Comment 1. I love updates like this, but someone's cutting onions at my desk and I'm going to catch some weird looks from coworkers soon. I'm so happy for you, OP. I know from experience that forgiving yourself is often way harder than forgiving everyone else, especially after struggles with addiction, but it is worth the fight to do so. I'm glad you're mending that relationship. Now I need a tissue. Comment 2. Depression is sneaky and it will whisper to you that you aren't good enough for the things in your life. I would suggest writing down the things that he tells you, or, if he'd like, let him make a journal of sorts of things he loves and appreciates about you. You can add to it as you find things to love about yourself. Then you can always reach for it when you're low to remind yourself that you're awesome. It's a trick that's helped me many times. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for returning a birthday gift I got from my boyfriend after he insulted me about my colorful past? This happened last night, but my phone is still blowing up. I, 26, dipped into my savings and got Mike, my boyfriend, 27, a PS5 for his birthday yesterday. He knew he was getting the PS5 because he told me that the PS5 is the only thing he wants. We've been together for 4 years, so the cost didn't matter. That is until I found out what he thinks about me. Some background: when I was 18, I was involved with Jake, a guy who I met online. We ended things after 3 months, and I moved on shortly after with Adam, a guy from work. I found out a couple months later that Jake and Adam were actually really close friends, but I didn't know Jake long enough to meet his friend group, so I had no idea. After finding out, I took some time off dating, and 2 years later, I met my current boyfriend Mike. I was upfront and honest with Mike about my past and the fact that I was unintentionally involved with friends. He said he understood and my past didn't bother him. Last night at his party, I showed up with the PS5 and he and his friends were screaming with joy. His best female friend Jessica laughed and said, "I wish I was a thought so I could afford a PS5 too." I looked at her with an, "Excuse me?" look at my face, and she just said, "Never mind," and walked away. I confronted my boyfriend about it, and he said, and I quote, "She's just messing with you. You can't take a joke?" So I pushed further as to why this girl is even calling me names to begin with, and he said, "Well, everyone knows you were a thought before you met me." I asked him to explain how I was a thought before him, and he said, "You know, messing with best friends." He then patted me on the shoulder and said that it's okay because I'm not who I was back then, and if he could get over my colorful past and thought mentalities, to give me a chance, then I could get over Jessica's comments and give her another chance. I didn't say anything. I just got up, took the PS5 from the gift table and left. He was pissed. He literally called me like 20 times, but I didn't care. I was so hurt that I took the bow off and took it straight back to the store I got it from. They happily refunded it. I thought that was done, but Mike and all his friends, including Jessica, are berating me for being petty, and they're all saying I brought this on myself by making poor choices. I responded to Mike and told him that he deserves better than me, so find someone who wasn't a thought and get the PS5 from them because I returned it. He started screaming how I'm the biggest idiot for returning it and how I should be happy he ignored my colorful past. I'm thinking maybe taking it back went too far. Am I the idiot? There's no update for this one, so here's the comments. Not the idiot. Nothing about your past is even colorful. OMG, you dated 2 guys that happen to be friends. Good heavens, where are my pearls? I must clutch them. Sounds like Jessica is either sleeping with this fool or wants to be. She can have him. Use the money to get yourself something nice. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Who told you what you did was shameful? Who convinced you that having a consensual relationship and then, after that one had ended, having a different consensual relationship was bad? You casually dated 2 people at different times who knew each other. You didn't do anything wrong. Your boyfriend has a very toxic and unhealthy attitude about your dating history. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for calling my wife a hypocrite for making our son do chores when he's sick but not our daughter? My wife, 43, and I, 41, have 2 kids, a 16-year-old son from a previous relationship of mine and a 14-year-old daughter. My son has been living with us full-time since he was 4. To the current issue, my son has been suffering from cluster headaches for about 1 year now. They run in my family. He gets them every other month. Yesterday he got hit by one again while I was at work and my wife was home. When I got home in the afternoon, I found my son in the driveway carrying pots of plants inside. My wife loves everything that has to do with gardening and plants and regularly buys new ones, or rather attempting to. He was visibly in pain, pale, moving slowly, the typical watery eye, etc. When I asked him what he was doing, he told me my wife had told him to help her move those, but I didn't think he was in any condition to do so and sent him inside and to bed. I got inside and confronted my wife with it, and she immediately got mad at me, saying it wasn't a big deal for him, and that she had him take one of his pills. They help but can only do so much. So I reminded her that she lets our daughter stay home from school for 2 days every month and frees her of any chores when she's on her period and is essentially being a biased hypocrite. We argued for a while and she said, "I'm undermining her authority." But I insisted on leaving our son alone for the day and carried the plants inside myself, which I'd done anyway had she just waited for me. Just to clarify, I don't interfere with my wife keeping our daughter home when she's not well. If she says that's necessary, then it's fine with me. I'm also not asking what is worse, but I don't think it was okay of her to make our son do this when he was in a lot of pain and basically grimacing with every movement. She also knows that he's not that great at standing up for himself. But am I the idiot for that argument? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot, but your wife is. Seems to me like her daughter gets special treatment over your. Sony, no, both are your children. Either she is sexist and thinks women are inferior to men, since the daughter doesn't have to do any chores because of her period but your son has to do chores through cluster headaches. Or she has less respect for your son since she didn't give birth to him. Comment 2. Not the idiot, and I'm a person who gets a lot of pain during my period. I still don't skip school, but if your daughter needs to, that's fine. But forcing your son to work when he's having those headaches? I get migraines occasionally and I literally can't do anything for a while. Your wife is being awful to your son and a total hypocrite. Now for the update. Hey everyone, I've been asked for an update on this. I've talked to my son and wife about the issue and made a decision. Wife. Asked her how exactly the whole thing happened. Said she gave him a pill around noon when he started to feel bad, then went out for a while and only called up to him if he could help when she got back. She didn't see him, so she thought he was fine when he went out. I was shocked that she didn't check on him. She said she was sorry and wanted to apologize to him. Son, he's assured me that his stepmom hasn't made him work when he was sick before. This was the first time, and while I was glad about that, I dug a little deeper and asked him if he's ever felt less than his sister in the eyes of his stepmother. He admitted that he did start feeling this way as he became a teenager, not when he was a child though, but he never told me about it. Nothing bad happened, so he didn't think he should mention his feelings. I was very shocked about this. We talk a lot normally, and told him that he needs to tell me things like that even if they seem small in isolation. However, due to this dangerous lack of concern on my wife's side and my son's feelings, I decided we will spend some time at my brother's to figure everything out. Son is sad about it, but he understands my decision. He's too good of a kid to be mistreated in any way, and I don't want him to learn that it's okay to ignore your well-being for other people. I'm very proud of his kindness, but I don't want to see it being abused, especially by family. Thanks all. Edit. Since I get a lot of questions about this, we haven't moved out permanently. I only want to get some space between my wife and son. I've talked about this with my daughter, and she understands that there's issues between her mom and half-brother we need to solve and isn't sad about it. Comment 1. I'm glad you're standing up for your son, but did your wife take your daughter to the DR about her pain yet? It is not normal to have so much pain you cannot go to school while on your period. The sooner they find the cause, the less lifelong pain your daughter will have. This type of pain typically gets worse, not better, over time. If your wife won't take her, you should, even if it's for lady stuff. Quality of life matters for her. Comment 2. Maybe I'm missing something, but this seems like a drastic decision. Your son admitted that this has never happened before and he's only felt a little less than, which is normal for a lot of teenagers. I think discussing things with your wife and son would have been better than moving out. Also, what's happening with your daughter in this situation? You said in a comment that you're sure she misses you. Why didn't you bring her with you? Have you discussed this situation with her? Right now, she could be feeling unwanted because you're only worried about your son. Not saying that's true, since you didn't explain the whole story, but please don't ignore her in this situation because it affects her too. Then the poster responded with, I have discussed this with her. She understands that there's issues between her mom and half-brother right now we need to solve. She wants to stay in the home she's always had, which is fine too. We haven't moved out permanently. But I need to get some space between my wife and son for a while. She understands that, and I am okay with it. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to drop a like. It really helps the channel grow. See you next time.